welcome to another edition of Swerve with me. This is a show where we have adult conversations for mature audiences only. I'm Miranda Innes. I'm a life transformational strategist and I work with professional men and women and I help them reconnect with purpose, build capacity, and I also help them to get activated so that they can create the life that they want and they deserve. As you come in, tag somebody, let them know that Swerve is back, and we'll be talking to a very, very interesting young lady. Do not take her physical attributes for granted. She has had a life filled with peaks and valleys, and we're grateful that she is here to willingly share her story of what God can do in the life of somebody who is yielded to Him. So, we're giving you some time to come on in, tag somebody, and let them know that Swerve is back. Over the course of the next few weeks, we will be talking to so many amazing people who have stories to share about life. And I like to talk to people who have been processed and who understands that whatever they have gone through, it's never really about them. It's always about the next person who will come along and they will use their story, their testimony to encourage someone along the way. And so tonight it gives me the greatest pleasure to welcome to this platform a young lady who was born and raised in the Bahamas, 8 Mile Rock, Grand Bahama to be precise. But her life has taken her across the waters into the United States and in Missouri in particular. We'll hear all about how she has transitioned from 8 Mile Rock into the United States. But help me welcome to Swerve, and this is her first time doing a live talk show. Please help me welcome to this platform Elizabeth Sunshine Decker. Good night, Elizabeth. It's so good to have you here. Good
Good
night.
night, everyone. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's
Thank
a
you so
pleasure to
much. Good
be
night,
here.
Pauline. It's good to have you. So, Elizabeth, I always like to start these stories at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So my name is Elizabeth Decker, as you may know, and I was formerly called Elizabeth Jean. I am Haitian descent. I was born and raised in Freeport, Grand Bahama, 8 Mile Rock, and I relocated from the Bahamas in about 2018. I was 25 years of age when I relocated, and I gave my life to Christ at the age of 25 when I relocated, and I got married at the age of 25, and I got pregnant with my first child at the age of 25.
Okay, so let's go back to life in 8 Mile Rock. Tell us what that was like and how many siblings did you have? Were you in a two-parent home? What was that like?
Life, growing up in 8 Mile Rock, formerly called the Rocks, I mean, people knew it as the Rocks. It was basically a ghetto, and it was kind of hard for us. It was a two-parent home, but my father died when I was about age 11, and it was hard for me because, like I never had a father figure and grew up in a home that love was not really there, so I seek love elsewhere. And I
So at the
have, it's five
Go ahead.
siblings in total, two brothers and three sisters. I'm the third child.
So as the third child, you came up under some interesting circumstances in that your mother suffered from a illness. And
Yes, she does.
because of her suffering, it placed you in an adult position very early in
Yes.
terms of taking care of siblings. So tell us a little bit about what was life like growing up with someone who had a mental illness.
Life was really hard growing up with someone with a mental illness because she never thought that she did. She always made up excuses saying that she was normal. So her behavior now did not seem to be as abnormal. It seemed to be as normal. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is how everyone is. So I would make up excuses for her or, beat up anyone as small as I am, but I would fight on behalf of my mom, like when people are talk, about her, I would get so angry, so enraged, and put myself in a position where I almost got arrested, even as a child,
So let's talk
for
about
things
that.
that I
You
did.
said you were so angry that you fought a lot just in defense of your mother because people were talking about her.
Yeah.
How did you almost get arrested? And how old were you?
I would say I was probably at about the 10th grade. I was about like 14 or 15 years old. No, I was not 15. I was what 14 years old. And there was this girl that talked about my mom and my dad, and I just picked up a 2x4 with a nail in it, and I hit her in her head with it.
Wow. Was she seriously injured?
No, the 2x4 broke in her head. It kind of stuck, the nail sticked her a little bit, but not so much. It didn't like impale her or anything, but it just like left a mark.
And so what happened as a result of you doing that to her?
I felt satisfied. I felt relieved with my anger and my stress and my anxiety. And I went to the principal's office and I told them what happened. I got suspended and the police got involved. Luckily for me, they didn't send me to, the girls' industrial school, I think it was called at that time. I'm not sure what it is now.
They sent you to the girls' industrial
No,
school?
they were about to, but they didn't. God
Okay.
saved me.
So you also mentioned to me that you were bullied a lot in school. Let's talk about what that was like and why were you being bullied?
I was bullied because I was Haitian descent,
Okay.
and they was calling me the Black Haitian,
Hmm.
and I was already being bullied at home from my siblings, so I would just fight a lot.
So why was your siblings bullying you?
I guess I'm the middle child, and it's easier to do so. And my father blatantly told the kids that I was basically his favorite, so the other kids did not like that, so they would always pick on me for it.
Okay, so obviously that caused tension if he's gonna single you out
Yeah, he singled
as
me
the
out.
as the favorite. So did he do things that would indicate that he favored you?
Yes, because my mom was not allowed to touch me. Anytime I would do something, my siblings would face the repercussion for it. They would get reprimanded for it. It's like they were responsible for me, and nothing could have happened to me, especially if they were supposed to be keeping their eyes on me.
So when he died at 11, how did things change for you?
It changed drastically for me because the whole house now became my enemy. It was like me against them because my protector was no longer there to help me.
So I'm just trying to imagine being in a household with your siblings where you're at war with them constantly or they're at war with you, and to go to school and be facing bullying from other people as well. How did you cope with that?
Um, like I said, just fighting all the time. I know it's kind of hard to imagine because I don't look like anything that I've been through, but I was just like an angry person, and I just fought. I started hanging with older women and older men. I would hang out with them and learn how to be street smart, learn how to finesse at a young age. Never wanted to stay home because the way the home was set up, I felt like I did not belong there.
So you're talking about hanging out with older men and women. Let's talk about that. What do you mean? You're 14 or 15 years old, so hanging out with them. You're talking about after school on the weekends. What did that look like?
Like it looked like on the weekends, I would go and hang out with them because I would have to go to school. So I would hang out with them on the weekends, and they would hang like there's this tree like through the corner where I used to live, and people would stand there and they would drink all day and they would smoke weed, and I'm just sitting there with them, listening to all their conversations, and basically gleaning from them on how to defend myself and how to be strong and don't let no one take advantage of me, and just basic street smarts on how to survive.
Being around alcohol, did you start using at an early age?
Yes,
So how old were you when you had your first joint?
I would say I was about 16 years old when
16 when you
my
had your
neighbor told me to try it.
and you tried it, and
Yeah.
After trying it for the first time, was it something that you continued or you didn't like it and you was like, forget this?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it made me choke and I couldn't talk and it went down the wrong pipe. It was just too much. So I didn't like it. But I ended up using it, I would say, about the age of 25. I started again.
Started again. So high school was traumatic because you were being bullied just because of your parents' nationality.
Yeah.
And so you always found yourself on the defensive. What kind of students were you?
I would say I was the class clown most of the time. I wouldn't say I was a teacher's pet, but the teachers loved me and I always got good grades.
You always got good. So in the midst of what you were going through, you were still able to get good grades.
I had no choice. Or else I
Why
would,
didn't you have a choice? Why did you
because my
think you
mom would
didn't have a
not put up with
choice?
it. She would not put up with it.
So even though she had her challenges, she still demanded that you made good grades. Was there somebody
Yeah.
checking to make sure you did your homework, etc.?
No.
But you had the discipline to complete whatever you needed to do
I
in
had to,
spite of.
or she would take my head and run it to the wall. So I had to bring home good
You
grades.
talking literally or
Literally.
figuratively?
No, literally.
Literally hit your head against the wall.
Yeah.
So that happened before, at what age?
Yes. It happened before, and I was in primary school. I think I was about in the sixth grade, and something happened. I don't know if I got like a B or a C on my report card. Can't remember what transpired to cause that event to happen, but I remember being in my physical education clothing, and I went to Little High School, so I remember it being like purple and white, and I was standing. I had like beads in my hair, and she looked at a paper and she was not pleased with it. So she took my head and she rammed it to the concrete wall, and she said, "I did not send you to school to be stupid."
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you, were you injured? Like,
Yes, I had to go to the hospital to get a stitch in the back of my head. I can still feel it till up to this day.
wow. So when you went to the hospital, what was said to the doctors or the nurse?
She told me to lie and say that I fell. I ran and I fell.
Okay.
So I stick with the story when I went to the doctor. The doctor's like, "Are you sure? Are you lying?" And I said, "No, I'm not lying. I fell."
Okay.
Because she said
Was
if I
that the
didn't say that,
was
something
that
else
the
was going to
first
happen.
time and the first and last time like that something like that happened to you?
No.
So this was a repeated cycle of you literally being injured and having to go to the hospital?
Yes.
Wow. So you what did you were you able to go to school continuously?
At one point in my life, no. It was in the 12th grade.
So what do you mean? What caused you not to be going to school continuously?
It was in the 11th grade, sorry. She was in and out of hospital, and I had to stay home with my younger siblings.
So you mean she was committed to like a psychiatric ward or
Yeah, die
something?
award.
And you would have to stay home with the kids. So if she
Yeah.
stayed in for a week, you would be home for a week.
Yeah. And she stayed home for a month. She stayed in for a month at one time,
And you
and I
was
had to
out of
was
school
out of
for an
school for a
entire
month.
month?
Yes. I missed
Wow.
87 days of my entire high school year.
In 1 year? 87 days?
Yep. I was in the 11th grade. I almost did not graduate, but it's a good thing that I got good grades because I was on honors. Then it was like credit, I think it was, and then I graduated with a pass because of my days.
So even though you missed all of those days of school, you were still able to pull it together to get enough work done to graduate on time.
Yeah, thankful for my teachers. They understood my situation and they would still give me the work. And even if I missed work, they would, pull me aside and they'll give me the work and they'll tell me who to get the work from, and I would still send my work in.
So you graduate high school at, what's it, 17?
16
And
turning
about
17.
17, okay. As turning 17. What were your plans for yourself after high school? What were you thinking you would do?
I would wanted to go, redo high school again because I felt like I failed. And I tried to talk to my teacher about it. She's like, you know what, you passed. You should just try to create a future for yourself. Go to college. So I tried to go to college, but they said that I couldn't because I was not Bahamian descent because I was Haitian descent. So it was hard for me to go. So I couldn't go to college. So I tried to find jobs, and it was hard for me to find jobs because, like I said, Haitian descent. So I had no choice but to start working at the bars.
So at 17, as a teenager, you started working in a bar.
Yeah,
And what were you doing?
bartending.
You were mixing drinks, pouring
Yeah,
drinks at 17 in a bar. Did the
yeah.
person who hired you know you were as young as you were?
No, I lied about my age,
Okay. So
and they didn't ask for proof.
you told them you were what, 18?
18, yes.
And they hired you. So did you at any point feel uncomfortable or like I don't belong here?
No, I felt like fit in at that time,
You felt like you
honestly.
fit in?
Yeah.
So you just worked nights in a bar at 17 just to kind of survive. Did your parents, well, your dad was
My
dead,
dad
but did you
died.
did your mom know that you were working in a bar? Did she know?
She she didn't know. She just thought I was partying all the time.
Because you would just go out at night,
Yeah,
basically, and you
yeah.
would be going to work. At any point, so what was the night like in a bar for a 17-year-old bartender? Because that is definitely not the norm.
It was kind of exciting and it was crazy. Like the first bar I worked in was like a bar in 8 Mile Rock, and it was like a lot of crazy stuff started happening, a lot of fights, and like I've seen people got shot. It was just so crazy, and I wanted to get out, but it was like my only livelihood.
So you saw these things happening and you didn't see a way out at the time, so
No,
that became the norm for you, fights in the bar, etc. Did
yeah.
at any point you feel like your life was in jeopardy?
I would run and hide really well, when problems happen. And at one point, my life felt like it was in jeopardy. It's like when I fought a girl in the bar. She was like way big. She was bigger than I am, and she was out with her friends. And I was filled with so much anger. And they were spreading rumors about me, saying I was HIV positive and stuff.
Oh,
And so
oh,
I just,
wait a minute, don't go so fast. Somebody started a rumor. At
yeah,
what age were you?
I would say about like turning 17, turning 18.
So they started this rumor at going on 18 that you were HIV positive. So
Yeah.
literally, what? How did you find out about this rumor? Did somebody approach you and ask you if it was
People
true?
talk, people talk about it. Like, how people love a good gossip. Like, they won't say what they said, but they'll come back and say what someone else say.
Hmm.
And that's how it got back to me.
So how did that make you feel?
I felt terrible. I
Hmm.
wanted to commit suicide. I tried to commit suicide actually after when I hearing that rumor because I felt like my life was ruined.
So let's talk about that because you're hearing these people, these rumors about you. Somebody made it up for whatever reason. What led, like you said, you tried to commit suicide. What did you do?
I Suicide for me was kind of normal because I my first time trying to commit suicide was at the age of 13. Like when I said like how it was in my home, and then for me it was like about the age turning
Wait,
18 again.
slow down. You said your first time was at age 13, and it was
Yes.
because of the conditions in your home. What did you do?
There was a student who used to attend my school. Me and him we were really good friends. Not my school, but we used to attend school together. And he hanged himself in his closet with his school necktie.
And how
So
old was
I
he
was
when
going.
that happened?
He was probably about, how old was he? I think he probably like 15.
Wow. So that was traumatic to lose somebody that close to you at such a young age.
Yeah, he made school like worth going to, other than, getting away from the craziness at home. Like, you would find someone like you can just laugh together all the time. And I, was just always a happy person, and I just surrounded myself with happy people, and he was one of them. So when
And
he
so,
committed suicide, I wanted to do the same thing too. Felt like it was my way out.
so what did you do?
I locked myself up in the one of the rooms of the house. I grew up in a four-bedroom home, so I locked myself up in one of the bedrooms, and I stood on a crate, and I took the school necktie and I tied it, on the railing of the closet. And I was about to jump off. A pastor came in and he said, "Let's go to church." So that's why I didn't do it that day.
So let me just get clarity in my mind. Somebody is. Are you guys hearing feedback? Um, does she sound clear to you? I don't know. Let me know if you're hearing feedback. So what you're saying is you were about to hang yourself in the closet. Okay, so
Yes.
even with the headphones, you're hearing feedback. Okay, all right. So you're saying you were about to hang. You had something around your neck, wrapped around a pole in the closet, and you were about to jump and off of something to hang yourself. And when you were about to do this, a pastor comes to your house. And does he come looking for you? I have your mic muted. I'm going to open it after I finish the question. So he comes to the house at that moment that you are about to attempt suicide. And he come directly to you?
Yes, he's a family. Can you hear me? He's a family friend. So he just randomly came there and he said, he just wanted to take me to church, which was crazy. And I just was bawling, saying like I felt like I had no purpose and I just wanted to die. And he told me like, like you have purpose. And he gave me Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, for the plans that I think towards you, says the Lord, plans to give you future and a hope. And that's what I held on to.
So you're what, 13, 14 years old when this you made your first attempt to commit suicide, and just in the nick of time this pastor comes by. And how did that change the course of your life?
It changed it because at that time, you know, I wanted, to live and to be happy, but then it was like so terrible at home, and it actually drove me into the world even deeper because at 13, like I said, I wanted to commit suicide, and at age 15, I got back, like I went to started going to church and I gave my life to Christ, at the age of 15. But then there was a particular family member, you know, one of my siblings. I called them like, hey, look, like no, they called the house and it was like, hey, look, we I just had a kid and I want to talk to mom. And I said, hey, I know you said that I'm a bad girl, but please be my sister. Like because I used to hang out, like I said, with older people. So they deemed me as a bad person, which in the things that they say that I was doing, I wasn't doing at the time. So I said to her, I got saved. Please, be my sister, be my friend. Please be with me again. And she said to me that she has no family member in 8 Mile Rock, and I'm not her sister. And I was saved for about 24 hours, I think, and I was back into the world again, even deeper. And that drove me really deep into sin.
So you felt rejected. As a result of feeling rejected, you started to act out. And so we've jumped to where you were a bartender. So but from 15 to 17 or 16 when you graduated, that year you spent partying even though you were in high school?
I partied some. I would say my partying really started for me in about the 12th grade. I started partying really heavy because at that time, like I felt like I was kind of grown because of my mom. Like she was not, I used to have to jump out of the window if I want to go out. She was very strict. We could not even attend dress up days at school. That's how strict she was. Or any school or any act after, after school activities. We could not attend those. I used to run track back in high school, and I made it to island sports and everything. And she forbid me even attending that because it took me away from the house. So anytime I would do my mischievousness, it would be when she's sleeping and I'm jumping out the window and sneaking out.
So when you say partying, partying for you was what? Going out, hanging out with older people? Were you drinking? Were you smoking? Were you sexually active? What was happening at that point?
At that point, I was sexually active when I was about 15, turning 16. That was the year it actually happened because my mom would accuse me of, doing this and doing that, and I was not doing it. And because she would accuse me for it and call me a harlot, call me all sorts of names, and literally a voice came in my head saying that they're already saying you're this and you're that, and they're already saying you're doing it. You might as well do it. So I did it. Not because that was something that I wanted to do, because I didn't want to do it, but because that's what my family was saying about me, that's what my mom was saying about me. I just did it so that they can be satisfied and hopefully like me, but that just made it worse.
So how long after graduation, working in the bar, did this quote unquote partying lifestyle go on with you?
It went on for a really long time because I now started partying for like 7 days a week after that. I would just sleep during the day and party at night after I graduated high school. Like I said, I had no life, working at the bars and just partying all the time. So my partying will really be for me like going to work sometimes. Because like I said, I work at a bar, so I just party there, from shaking, like twerking and, you know, doing the splits, dancing on my head. I used to do all of that stuff.
You did this in the bar, and did you like the attention that you were getting from doing these things in the bar, or it how did it make you feel? Yeah, how did it make you feel doing those things?
I actually felt wanted, but for the wrong reasons. Like I said, growing up, I felt abandoned, rejected, ostracized, stigmatized. To now, people actually want, like, they're basically celebrating me. Like I'm on top of the bar doing a bunch of crazy stuff, and there are people like cheering me on and are happy to have me. And then I would get people like would pay me to just to come to their bar to turn up, turn up the bar for them. So that became a livelihood for me, just being known as the turn up girl.
So you made a living turning it up, like you said, and at some point, other young ladies began to gravitate to you, and you started to like to other young ladies. This part of the story, I really have to laugh because I mean, looking at you, you cannot imagine. Nobody could imagine. You started turning it up, and other girls began, younger girls, I guess, and parents your age, they began coming to you because you were the party girl, the turn it up girl, and when they felt rejected or unwanted, you were that person that they came to. So in essence, you kind of like became a pimp. In in I guess that's the only way I could summarize it. But tell us about that period when girls started coming to you and hanging out with you, etc.
I could laugh about it now, but it's a very serious situation. But yeah, like I was known for the girl, like I said, like I because of the lifestyle that I lived, I always had money and I always had people, that wanted to interact with me, whether for me to just like, getting hired for private bachelor parties or, and I would hang around a lot of white people. So they, it's like I said, life in Nate Mark is really hard. It's either who you know or get it how so there were girls who would come to me like, hey, look, I see you're on yachts and you're flying out all the time and you're just, basically living life. You're always out to dinner and I see you on Snapchat and, I just see your life. I just see how you are like on social media. I just want to hang out with you. I just need something. So the people that I was involved with, they had friends, and I would hook them up, and then the girls, I never asked them to, but they would bless me with something, sow a seed in my life, if you would have it.
Bless you. That's an interesting word to use. And sow a seed. I could tell you churchy. But this happened for some time. Like you said, you didn't ask them to do it, but you were hanging out. So where were you guys meeting these men to have these parties on these yachts or whatever, etc.?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know. Like I would just be walking and people would just pull me, like, hey, what's up? And get my number, like, hey, let's hang out tonight. Or I got this going, that going on. Like, what are you doing? And they'd be like, oh, nothing. They're like, oh, bring some girls and we can do this and we can do that. And then they would tell me, like, I'll give you something for bringing the girls or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I would just find the girls. So the girls would literally come and find me. And then I would just line it up. And I had, like, at that time in my life, I had like two phones because there was so much to keep up with.
So you were setting up these dates, arranging these parties to come and party with these people. And how long did that continue? Now, did you, outside of working in the bar at that period, did you ever have another job anyplace else?
Yes, I worked for the government at one point in time. Like they had a government program. Someone that I knew helped me get on it. Like the guy that I dated, he lived in the States, so he pull a few strings and he got me this government job. Not really pull a few strings, like he knew someone that was hiring and they got my name on the list, and then I got on this government program, and then I worked at the urban renewal for a while. That was kind of fun. I finally got found something decent to do because I felt decent at that time. Like I didn't feel like I had to make dirty money really by working at the bars. So I kind of from then I wanted to like change, and then I started working at the school with children. It was so nice, and I was like, wow, this is something I don't have. I felt like I can actually be myself instead of fitting this persona like I'm a bad girl, like just so people don't like me and stuff. And then after that, I would say I stopped working for a while because, like I said, the guy that I was dating in the States at that time, he basically took care of me. And then I was, the dates that I was hooking up with, like that helped me out too. And, I was paying the bills at my mom's house. And then and then I moved out of my mom's house, got into an abusive relationship. And then I went back to my mom's house. And when I went back to my mom's house, I got a job at the Grand Bahama shipyard. So there I worked there for about like, I think 2 or 3 years. So that was my first solid job was when I worked at the shipyard in Freeport.
So what were you doing at the shipyard? And at that point that you started working this basically, I guess, 9 to 5 job, did the partying stop?
No, it did not stop. The partying still continued. Um, the job that I worked on was actually from 7 to 7. It was like 12-hour shifts. And I still worked at the bars. I worked at three different bars throughout the week, even working in because it was like 7 days a week, 7 to 7. And I would make like around like 550 every week. And I was not really doing nothing much. I was just fire watch,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would dock clean sometimes. And dock clean, I could probably make like six something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't work there for very long. I only worked there for like a few months, and then I met a guy there, and he was one of the managers there. So me and him started dating. So he pulled me out from working there. So I was just at home for like about 2 years. And then I went back to the shipyard after me and him broke up and dated someone else there again.
So at what point, so these years are going on, you're getting older, you're in your 20s now, and was the partying starting to get old, or you was just even more turned up because you were, pretty much being, as we would call, a kept woman? Like you didn't really have to work because of the people who you were dating or the person you were dating, but was it getting old at any point?
For me, started to get really old because I would go out and I would just look around and be like, why am I even here? And then I would have friends calling me like, hey, let's go out. And I'd be like, no, I'm tired because I work all these long shifts. And then at one point in time I just quit the bars. Like I just quit all the bars, and I just quit the jobs that the side jobs that I had. I quit all of that because, like I said, I told my mom, she has her schizophrenic disorder. So I told her, like, hey, and I was getting tired of the way she was being treated, like how people were treating her. So I said, hey mom, look, stay home and I'll take care of you and I'll pay all the bills and I got you. So at that time I was taking care of her and my siblings, like my brother, his son, and my niece and my little sister. So I was basically taking care of like 5 people. So I had to always have an income, steady income coming in because I got to take care of myself too. And at that time, I used to love my Rami, my MAC makeup. My nails have to be done every 6 weeks. My minks have to be done every 6 weeks. So I used to always try to keep myself. And I hated being broke. So I always have to have money, you know, coming in all the time. So that's why I worked all those jobs.
Did you start to feel the pressure of always having to be on, always having to uh, get income, get money, take care of? Did you start to feel the pressure of that?
Yes. And that's when I started smoking weed again. It was getting too overwhelming. Depression hit me all the time. I would find myself crying all the time because the weight of their problems were on me. And like every time my mom, wanted something, needed something, if she owed someone, like I would have to pay it. Then I got my little sister, she's in high school, my niece is in high school, like so much stuff going on. And I just felt, I just felt overwhelmed with it all. It was too much.
How did you get through that period? I mean, I know you said you were smoking the weed, but did you have any other sources or any other means to coping mechanisms other than probably partying or smoking the weed or whatever? Was there any other coping mechanisms that you had, or was there anybody in your life who was saying some positive things to you despite the fact that you were under all this pressure of partying and trying to provide by any means necessary for your family?
There was this boy that I dated in the midst of me having like a boyfriend, but he was like I don't know, a friend, a special friend. So, he was a special friend in my life. And he was the one that I actually loved. So in the midst of me having like all that stuff going on, like I would back then I would say, okay, well that's just my money. That was just not where my heart was. So this guy was where my heart was. So he would like talk me, telling me like, no, this is too much. You need to stop. You just need to give it all up. Stop. And it was just, I just didn't know how to stop because that was, like I said, that was just my lifestyle. That was all I knew from, coming up. I just knew how to, that was the way that I lived. So it was hard for me to break free from it. And I finally started to like love that boy a lot. And then he broke my heart. And when he broke it, it actually drove me into depression because the one thing that I love so much now turned on me as well. So it just set me just into a heartless state, in a heartless mode. Like I didn't care about anybody except for myself and my immediate family who I had to take care of.
So you said he broke your heart, and as a result of him breaking your heart, I would think probably he cheated on you or something. Um, but in him breaking your heart, did that drive you further into depression, or when was that turning point for you after him breaking your heart and all these different things happening to you? Was there any kind of internal, what I want, a ticker, impetus, or something that says, you know what, you need to look to God because like this has gone too far? What was the turning point for you?
In the midst of me doing all of that, I always prayed, believe it or not. Like prayer was my lifestyle from I was basically a child. I would always pray. I always read my Bible. As crazy as it sounds, in the midst of me doing all that crazy stuff, and my heart always wanted Jesus, but it's like I didn't know how. It was hard for me because it's like I didn't know. Like I know what I wanted and I know what I needed, but it was like, how do I get this? And I would go to church, and it's like it still was not filling the void. It's like I had to find something more intimate and more personal. And it was until this particular night, I would say the turning point came when I took some periactin. Like I think there was a pill that would help you eat, and one of my friends gave it to me because the guy said to me that, you are too skinny. I like thick girls. and I wanted to eat a lot, and so I can get thick, and so he can like me and not like the thick girls, and I took this periactin from working a 12-hour shift. I was fasting at the time, believe it or not, living a life of sin, but still, still fasted before the Lord. Crazy as it sounds, I was fasting this day, and I took the pill, and then I had to go to work that night by the bar, and I was like, you know what? My boss kept saying, like, drink, 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 and I was like, no, I don't want to drink tonight, because I was fasting, and then he like peer pressure came, so I drank, and when I did that, it's like I got like these heat sweats, and I felt like I got tunnel vision and everything, and I felt like I wanted to pass out, and I went into the bathroom, and I was just on the floor, couldn't even move, like I was just so weak, and I was just sweating, and right there and then a little still small voice came to me like, this could be your last moment. When are you going to come to me? And I thought I was like, going crazy, and I'm looking around, I don't see anyone. And then I got the strength and the courage to like open up the door, and that's when my boss came and he saw me, and then they found someone to take me home. And I came home fully clothed. I fell into my bed and I blacked out. Didn't remember anything. When I woke up, I just saw me fully clothed in my room. I didn't even know what happened. And from then I knew I needed to change.
So after having that experience of blacking out, what did you do? Like, what were your next steps? The next day, you woke up, and what did you do?
The next day, I usually get up about 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. The next day, I got in the car and I just cried out before the Lord. Just say, here I am. I surrender. Like, do whatever you must. Do whatever you want to do with me. I don't know how. Just show me, and if you lead the way, I'll follow. And I heard nothing. It was nothing. I heard nothing at all. And I just went to work, and then I started getting persecuted at work. And they like, and the girl came to me, she's like, oh, I noticed that you only talk to white guys. Say, is that all you like? You think you're better than people or something? That's why you like, you just love money so much. That's why you just only talk to white guys. I was like, no, I only talk to who likes me. I was like, I try to talk to other people, but they, as soon as they hear a rumor about me, they stop talking to me. And then, as much as I post my AIDS test, negative AIDS test on social media, people still talked about it. They still, said whatever they wanted to say about me. There was no turning back at that point. And I just said, God, I'm tired. Many days I would go to work, since seeing that I worked at the shipyard. Many days I just thought about just jumping overboard into the water, hoping a shark eat me because how hard it was. And I but what I did have, I can say though, through in the midst of it all, I had hope. I had hope that one day would change, and I would just dream about a better life, and write down a better days, and hoping for a future life, saying that maybe one day this will change. 'Cause
I want to go back to what you said, because you kind of scurried over it so quickly. You said something about posting your negative HIV test online to prove to people. Why did you feel the need to do that? Were you under that much pressure from that rumor that was going around that you were HIV positive, that you would literally post your own personal information on social media?
Yes, I was targeted all the time because everywhere I would go, people would point at me and say, that's the girl over there with AIDS, or don't talk to her. And I would have my mom, like, what drove me to that point was my mom would come home and she would be like, everywhere that I go, I'm hearing your name. I would go to the bank, your name's there. I'd ride the bus, they're just talking about you. I'd go to church, they're talking about you. I would go to work, they're talking about you. It's like everywhere I go, they're just talking about you. And it's not good news. It's like you make me so ashamed. Like, it's like Haitian families, they believe in honor. And she said I dishonored the family. And she said she has to walk with her head hanged down because how ashamed she is to even say that I am her daughter. She said she wished that she had shut her legs on my head on the day that they said I was coming into the world because of that.
That must have been hard to hear. That must have been difficult to hear coming from your mother. So, hearing something like that from her, how did that make you feel, how did you respond to that?
I just said that's not who I am. It's a lie. And I had my own family members even believed in the rumor because my one of my siblings said to me that I cannot cook food for them, or I have to have my own plate, my own cup, my own spoon. They cannot drink after me. I'm no longer allowed to cook meals for the family because my finger can get cut and blood can go into the food. So I have to cook with them supervising me and watching me. Then my other sibling, who I haven't talked to in like 5 years, she stopped talking to me. And her son came by. I haven't met my son since he was a baby. He's about 5 years old at the time, and I was drinking some juice, and he wanted some juice from me. So I was going to give him my cup, say, here, have some juice. She took the cup from him and she said, go get his own. I don't want him drinking after you. And then my other sibling, there was this particular time I was in an abusive relationship, like I was saying, and I called her to pick me up, and I paid her like couple $100, just to come and get me from this relationship. And she said to me, if you know you have AIDS, you should stay there because you don't need to get anybody else infected. And I was crying. Oh, sorry, I was crying out saying that I don't have AIDS, I don't have AIDS, I don't have AIDS. And that's what drove me to the point of posting my AIDS test on social media, proving to people that I don't have it.
Okay, after posting that, did anything change? Did it make you feel better? Did people begin to respond to you differently? Did you think it made a difference?
Some responded to me differently, and then some still believe the rumor. But they're saying like, oh, it's still negative because it's not in my system yet. It's still there. It's hiding. Like so much different stuff. Even one of my best friends at the time, where she was, frustrated with me, she even all said I had it. So the rumor never even went anywhere. To be honest, it still stayed. So it was like a waste of time, and I did it 3 times, and it still stayed. So I was like, you know what, I give up.
So you're living with the fact that there are some people out there who believe you're HIV positive, but you're still trying to go along on with your life. At what point do you decide to completely rededicate your life to God? And what was it? Was there a defining moment that drove you to that point where this time it's just going to stick?
I was about the age of 25. Like I said, I came from work and I was on the back road and I met my husband. He wasn't my husband at the time, but when we met, someone told him not to take me serious, not to wife me, have me for like, a fun girl, call girl type of thing. And I didn't know they said that about me. So I wanted to give him to like my friend that was with me. I was like, look, I already have a complicated situation going on. Do you like him? And so she said, she never tried white boys before, so she was willing to give it a try. So here I am now, going to give away my husband to my friend. Didn't know he's going to be my husband. But he's like, you know what? It's not going to work out. I like you. So me and him got together. And I'm seeing how he was forcing himself on me. And I had to say, like, look, I'm not that type of girl. Like, if you want that type of girl, I have girls. I can give you girls like that can do that type of stuff. So he's like, oh, that's not what I heard about you. And I cried, you know, like, I'm like, when can I actually have something good? Or when can I actually be happy? Is everybody just going to disbelieve that everything that they hear about me? And that's when the moment is like, you know what, God, I can't, I'm done. Like I was literally just done with life and done with everything. It's like nothing that I did was good enough. And I felt like not good enough. And at that time in my life, I felt like the only person that would actually want me was Jesus. So it was about the age of 25, when I met my husband, and then he flew me over to the States. And, he said he wanted me, to be his girlfriend. He wanted me to give me a chance, and he wants me to prove myself to him. And he's not going to believe anyone else. He's just going to believe me, and we're going to see if it works. So he asked me to be his girlfriend. I think that was I met him like in November 2019. No, not 2019. In November 2017. In April 2018, that's when he asked me to be his girlfriend. May 2018 is when I moved to the United States, and then I got pregnant in June. And the doctor said it was hard for me to get pregnant, so my body was rejecting babies. But somehow, miraculously, I got pregnant. And then I didn't know I was pregnant, but still, I still cried out to the Lord. That's when the isolation came, and that's when I started to seek the Lord, because of the conditions that me and my husband were in. He just was recently going through a divorce. His ex-wife took everything from him. He was living at his son at the time, and we basically didn't have our own, and you know how it is sometimes when you're living with family in the United States, you know how that can be. And I just wanted my own. I just wanted the Lord, and it was just really hard. And I just when I started to seek the Lord, I still was not saved yet, but I always prayed and I read my Bible. And then it was when I went back home in July. It was for my birthday on July 4th. I would never forget it. I went home and I was at the bar, shotting and drinking. And then my a particular friend that I had, like my best friend, she came and like we had an altercation where, like I said, we was not speaking to each other. And then she came and looked for me, and she's like, and she took me to church. She's like, I found someone that can deliver her mom from her disease and the schizophrenic disorder that she has. Like I found that spirits. I found I can have someone can help her with it. So let's go to church instead. And so it's like that Wednesday, Thursday, I went to church. The pastor's like, tonight is all about you. God's calling you home. He said, now or never. He said, if you go back out these doors and you do not accept Christ as your savior, you're on your own. And basically, grace ran out on me. Long story short, grace literally ran out. And God said, it's now or never. And I made up in my mind, like, I'm going to die anyway. All of us have an expiration date on the bottom of our foot. It's better to die in Christ than out of Christ, because even though I read my Bible, I fasted, I prayed, I never had a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, because he said, if you love me, you obey my commandments. And I was not obeying anything. I was just still out living in sin, but still holding on to God. So basically, I was lukewarm. And we know what he says about people who are lukewarm, he'll spew them out of his mouth. So I did not want to be spewed out. So I made up in my mind, like, Liz, it's now or never. No more partying, no more nothing, no more finessing, no more, just no more being you. Now it's time for you to live for Christ. So I gave my life to Christ, and then I asked to be baptized right then and then.
So you rededicate your life. You have your this encounter, and so now you're going back home to tell. Do you tell your family? Do you tell anybody about this encounter? And then when you return to the U.S., I don't know if you were already married, but how do you break this news to your husband or boyfriend at the time?
He was with me in the church because he came home for a business meeting, and I went with him for the business meeting. I was not supposed to stay. So my mom, like, he rented us a house for us to stay, for my family, my immediate family, to stay with me. And we had like a birthday party there. And so my immediate family didn't know I was going to be saved, but they thought it was actually going to be my mom. So when they saw me go up, everybody was like they were shocked, like, and that I was actually going up there. And my husband came in and he held my hand, and the pastor prayed over me. And when I asked to be baptized, he's like, okay, when I come back in August, they're gonna, I'll be baptized. But then he said to me, no, God said I need to do this now. It's like, it's an emergency. I have to do it now. So basically, he was saying to me, something's gonna come up, and I'm coming back in August. I'm like, yeah, I'm coming back in August. Like, you can just wait till August. So, but we still didn't wait. So that week I came home. So let's say that was the Thursday. Went to church. Friday, um, we went inside the church, and then Saturday I got baptized. Sunday I went to the airport to go home, and I, got my dog with me because I had a dog back in Freeport, so I brought my dog over to the States with me. But when I went in, the immigration officer said, you're traveling so soon, like, you just was in the States for like a month, and now you're going back again. Why are you going? And I said, oh, I had a medical emergency, lying, saying, oh, my eye and stuff. And he stamped on my passport, said I had 30 days to get out of the US, and I was traveling on the wrong visa, is what he said, because I had a boyfriend that was an American, which everything just looked kind of shady, and you know how that goes. Me, so he stamped on my passport, said I had 30 days to get out of the country. So then now after that, I could not go back to the Bahamas until I got my green card.
So you eventually get married and get pregnant, and what what was the adjustment like? Um, that now you rededicate your life. You're now settled, and no more party girl. It's time to be a wife and a mother. Was that a major adjustment for you? Was that something you were looking forward to, and you just fell into? Let's talk a little bit about your life after rededicating your life to the Lord.
So I was pregnant and didn't know I was pregnant. And like I said, I got pregnant in June and I went home in July. So we didn't know about the baby until August. So at that time, like, it was so crazy because my husband is much older than I am. So his kids were not okay with the fact that dad brought home a 25-year-old girl. They thought it was okay for me to just be his friend, but to say, okay, dad, you're actually going to wife her. She's so young. So, and then, color of my skin, all of that stuff fit into the scenario. So, um, now, like I said, it was just crazy. I always wanted to be settled, but I didn't know how to. It's like I was being a good woman to the wrong people. So here it is now. I had to give my husband a chance. And in the beginning, he told me not to take him serious because he's not looking for a wife or he's not looking for anything. He just wants a fun friendship. So here it is now. I am in the United States and we're just there. And I'm like, okay, we don't even know what's going on. So we just carried on as normal. And then he proposes to me. No, he proposed to me before I went to the Bahamas. I'm jumping the story. He proposed to me before I went to the Bahamas. So he was my fiance. So when we came back, we were gonna get married. Like we was gonna put the wedding over for like 2 years time because we just met. Like we're gonna just okay, wait, remember 2 years into it together because then we'll actually get married. So now in August, I found out I'm pregnant, and here it is now. Like I said, I went back home into the Bahamas in July, and people saying stuff about me is a good thing that I gave up that craziness that I used to do because here it is now. If I did mess about, I would not even know who my child's father was because the guys that I did dated in my past, when they heard that I was back, they wanted to, link up and connect, but I didn't. Thank God. So here it is now. I'm pregnant, and I know it's this kid because, like I said, ever since that was the first time in my whole entire life that I've only been with one guy, like ever. I would say I would set a goal for a year, but like, okay, I'm only sleeping with one guy. Next thing you know, it's three for the year. And it's like, oh my God, like I just said one. Like this is the first time that it actually ever happened. And I felt like that was a goal for me. Like that's the only guy I'm talking to. There's no backup plans. There's nothing. And I was like, wow, I finally have what I always desired to be a good woman to the right guy. So here it is now. He goes to work and I told him like, okay, well, I'm stuck here, so I can't work yet. I'm working under the table. He's like, look, we'll just open up your own business. And I started selling things on Amazon. I'm a retailer on Amazon. So I sell, stuff on Amazon. So I have my own business. So he opened up a business for me, supplied all this stuff. So basically I just managed it for him. And and then finding out I'm pregnant, and then we set out our wedding day for December, and then afterwards, I was going to apply for my green card and stuff. So the next thing I know, by September 27th, I'm married. We went down to the JP, got married. And then November, I put in for my green card. And then in the year 2019, I got my green card in like 6 months, which was crazy fast. And then I went back home to the Bahamas. And that's when I started going to church. And when I went back home, I was with him, for that 1 week of business trip. So here it is now. He runs into one of my exes, and they're surprisingly they're friends. So here they are drinking together and having a good time. And I'm afraid this guy's gonna say something to him about me, like, yeah, and I don't want it to ruin it because I was like, God, every time something good happens to me, somebody comes and ruins it. So here it is now. I go talking on myself, like, hey, that guy that you say is your friend, me and him dated. We had a relationship. But when I had a relationship with him, I had a boyfriend at the time too. So I don't know, and I don't know what he tells you, but he's like, he didn't say anything to me. And here is now my husband's upset. He's like, what do? You stuck with the whole effing island? Sorry for me, saying that like that, but that's what he said. Like he looked at me like how everybody looks at me. He's like, you stuck with everybody? Like I was like, no, it's not like that. It's like these are people close to me. Why would you do something like that? I was like, I didn't know he knows you. Like so it's just I just thought it was gonna end in shambles, but for some reason God made him give me another chance. And he's like, you know what? I just have to trust you and hopefully that you don't be this person that I think that people are saying you are. And it worked out. So I'm a faithfully devoted wife now for going on 4 years. Never slept with nobody else except for my husband. And I have two kids for him. And we recently adopted my sister and my nephew. So my sister's starting college in the fall, and my nephew goes to school here.
Wow. What a journey. What a journey to get to the place where you are right now, wife, mother, adopted mother, being able to take on your younger sister, your nephew, and all that stuff. How fulfilled are you now, and what do you see yourself doing as a result of the journey that you've traveled to get to where you are and the work? Because it took work, no doubt, for you to consistency, for you to get to the place that you are now. So, how fulfilled are you feeling right now? And what do you want to say to another young lady or young man out there who has a similar path, who's on a similar path that you may have been on, or may about to, may, yeah, maybe about to enter into something like that, to just try it? Because it always starts with somebody saying, try it or something. What would you say to those people?
I would say don't give up on your dreams and basically don't give up on you. Like that doesn't mean that everybody else gives up on you, like even family, friends, they look down on you, may criticize you, ostracize you. That does not mean that your life is over. As long as there's life and breath in you, as long as there's blood flowing through your veins, you can make it. But you have to try first. Like life for me, like I said, was not handed to me down on a silver platter. I had to go and get it. And with that go-getting mindset, like I said, I came from a life where I had to do bad things, like basically selling drugs and doing whatever, like to the tourists, them, like when they want their cocaine, I go to the trap house, get it for them, do all this stuff just to get by and survive. So I understand how you feel, having a bad track record, having a bad stigma on your name, and then you feel like life is over for you, but it's not. Believe me, it gets beautiful and it gets better, and God will use you to help others because here is now, I knew what I had to go through growing up in 8 Mile Rock and trying to survive. And my little sister now graduated high school. She's trying to get a job. I'm seeing the same patterns. Oh, Haitian descent, like I'm seeing the cycle. And then she started partying. And then I'm seeing the cycle like playing out. I'm like, no, I cannot allow this to happen. So we paid for her visa and she ended up getting stuck in Nassau for a week, 2 weeks actually, because she had to get vaccinated and all that stuff to travel. So we had to put her in hotel because I was so determined of her not going down the same path that I did. So we got her to the United States, and my husband, like I said to him, like, I do not want her to go through what I went through. So we have the room. So we took her in, and then we took in somebody else. Like everyone that I feel like it's going through hard times, I would literally take because I don't wish what I went through on no one. And my dream and my goal now and my vision that the Lord has given me is to not only help people because I actually mentor young girls now, even after like leading them in a life of sin. I mentor them now. I just recently mentored a little girl in high school. Like her mother was having a really such hard time with her, and she wanted to give up on her. Like the same things that I used to do. Her daughter's doing it, and it was just one conversation I had with her, her teenage daughter, and now the mother is seeing progress through it, all through the grace of God. It's like, so I tell God, like, use my story to, so people can find hope from it, to know that things can change. I do not work for anyone. I work for myself. Me and my husband were a team. He works, but I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work from home. Everything I do is just online, and I can be home with my babies. And I got my sister here that's going to college. Everything's going to be fully paid for, by the grace of God. Like, it gets better. Yeah, I understand you had poverty days because I had days where I used to go to bed only putting salt under my tongue. It literally gets better. God will take you to a place where you're comfortable and you won't have to worry about anything. Like I said, with my living situation in America, I was basically homeless, living with my husband's son. But the good Lord, and since in the 4 years I've been here, I own two homes, and both of them were two-story homes. One home we bought for 275,000, and we sold it for 295, and we could have got 300 for it, but they wanted us to do some repairs and we didn't even do any repairs, so we sold it for 295. And in the home that I am in now, it cost $650,000, and the good Lord allowed the price to go down to 489,000, and that's how much we paid for it, so we can come here. And I told him, I was like, you allow me to get this house, it won't just be for me. I would use it, to have Bible studies. I would use it to help people that needs the help. And I fulfill my vow and I fulfill my promise to the Lord. Like, hey, you didn't just bless me or took me out of the pit for me to just gloat about it or talk to people about it. You do it for me to help people. So that's what I do. So my vision, I know the Lord will provide. I'm going to buy a piece of property around where I live because I'm on 43 acres, and I see somebody selling 20 acres of property like around right in my area. So I'm going to buy that property by the grace of God, and I'm going to build like community homes, and I'm going to get more teenage women, even young men, that want a fresh start at life and just don't know how. I'm going to, get a community center. I'm going to try to rehabilitate the teens that nobody wants, the rejected ones, the ostracized, the abandoned ones, that those who feel like when they come to America, they feel like they can't make it. I'll help you get on your feet. I'll help you get into college, and where you can get your social security, where you can actually work, nothing has to be under the table, where you can actually work and become something of yourself. Because my sister's not even here for 3 months yet, and she's already got accepted into college. So it's doable. You have to now try. You have to now push yourself. You have to now go. Like when I put my nephew in school, the only thing they asked me for was his passport. That's it. No nothing. And he doesn't even have social security to be on my insurance. So recently he had a doctor's visit at school, and I fill out I send a check in to pay for it. They said your insurance is accepted. I never even sent an insurance for him. So how is it accepted? So I know once we start, God will, he will come in. He would literally come in. So I just want to tell you that don't give up. It gets better. It gets easier. Like life may be hard now, but believe me, just like a butterfly, it has to go through different stages in order for its wings to come out and for it to bloom. So just be encouraged. That's what I have to say to you.
I mean, just a beautiful and amazing story, and your heart towards it just oozes. I want to read a couple of the comments because there were so many flying by, but I didn't want to disrupt your flow. Okay. Somebody says, um, Peach T says, Sunshine, we're proud. I'm so proud of you. Uh, Kevan, or Kevin, Pierre says, Hi, Sunshine, we're proud of you. Cooley says, Awesome. Agnes says, Love. Kevin, or I think it's Kevin, says, You're a living testimony. Cooley says, Yes, he will. God is awesome. Lisa says, Hallelujah. Testify. You're a blessing. Somebody, Clarine says, Glory. Amen. Glory. That's it there. Powerful. But God, baby sunshine. That's Mariana says, but God. Lisa says, in the mighty name of Jesus. Kevin says, your ministry will be great. Demetria says, great stuff. Lady T says, God's continuous favorable blessings over your life, sunshine. Decra, our God turns mess into our message and tests into our testimonies. Continue to allow our Heavenly Father to use you as a vessel to be a blessing always. Much love always. And Claire Hannah says, God blessed you and you are being a blessing. God is truly amazing. Deborah Anderson says, what an amazing story. Continue to share your story and to help others. You're an inspiration. Um, Lisa, God's child says, do God's work and he will handle yours. I see some more wows. Cooley says she prays that God will continue to bless you and your family. More, God bless you. Peach T says, my good, decent friend, now for over 10 years, I always had faith in you. And she's been cheering you along all night. I can't even read all the comments that she was posting out there. Just so many people because your story is so powerful and just so inspiring. And I want those of you who are on this line tonight to really share the story because for where you've come from, for what you've shared, and what God has manifested in your life. And you know what I like about it is there isn't even a hint of bitterness when you speak. There's no sting. There's no residue in terms of what you've experienced. There's no residue left about what you've experienced, and the fact that you're now able to pay it forward and to do it for your sister, your nephew, and then by extension, the vision that you have to do it for countless other people who are out there, young men and women that will need a sunshine in their life. And I do believe that you are truly depicting that nickname, as we call it, that you have. Mariana says, Jackie Simmons says, Nixon says, awesome testimony. Mariana says, Sunshine, I'm proud of you, Lizzie. Oh my God, to have known you and to know you now, baby, I'm extremely proud of you. God has his hands on you, and I pray that he continues to keep them over not only you, but your family. Queen Tony says much love, and Kevin says there's so much more to come. Definitely, there's so much more to come. Your testimony is so amazing. So much more people need to share it. And for this being your very first live, I have the distinct honor of saying thank you so much for being so open, so transparent, and sharing your story with the countless numbers who will see this story. Elder Inslee says, just keep letting God use you. There just scores of comments out there. But I want to thank you so much for your willingness and your openness to come and swerve with me tonight, because the one thing I do know that every time we share our stories, everything that we go through in our life, it's never really about us. It's just never about us. But while we're going through and experiencing the pain and the suffering of whatever it is, only God, who is the omnipotent, omniscient God, knows that somewhere down the road, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years from that moment that you experience that pain and suffering, only Him knows the value that experience will play in the life of somebody else. And you are a wonderful testimony. You are a wonderful testament of what God is able to do in the life of someone who goes through hardness, endures it as a good soldier, and comes out on the other side. So I want to thank you once again for your willingness to share your testimony. So I'm going to give you an option now for any parting words that you may have.
I just want to say, I just want to thank everyone so much for coming in and listening in. There is going to be a book I should have released, shortly this year, but like so much stuff that I did not get a chance to talk about, and deep things that I didn't get a chance to share, like the deep, deep, deep things. Like the mature. Some people are not mature enough to even handle that sort of thing. So, and I know for sure that there will be deliverance in that, because truly, I had experienced deliverance, and I know that God is real. And the other day, my pastor's wife, she said something like she had such a bad day. She was talking about her childhood and how bad it was. And I just started to just say little snippets of my story to her. And she was like, wow, I actually don't even feel bad about my life anymore. Like, you had it so hard. Like, I don't even know how you're not even insane. I'm like, it's only God. And she's like, I found hope from your story. So I have to say to God, like, people can find hope from me, but who do I have to find hope from? I went through it. Like, where was everybody else when I needed them, to help me get through it? And God said, like, it's everything that you need is in me. Like, everything that we may need, I'm telling you, it's only in Jesus. I had to literally find Jesus in order to find myself. And along the way, I lost myself, because here it is now, like in the year 2020, before the pandemic came, he told me to give up the wigs, the makeup, the nails, the lashes, everything. He said, come before me bare. Like, I want to do something in you that's never been done. I was very prideful. Like, he said, y'all see the lifestyle that I lived. I was very prideful. So he had to take me to a place of humbling me. But I'm thankful that he didn't humble me physically. He humbled me within, like internally. And during the pandemic, I never had a hungry day. The pandemic was actually a blessing to my household. Which surprisingly saying it, I know it sounds crazy, but the pandemic actually was a blessing to me. And in a time of famine, he said that we will be satisfied, but we must first turn to him. These promises that God have in his word is not for everybody. It's for his righteous seed. And we can be quoting scriptures all day, but if our hearts are not right with God, we won't see any promises. So that's my parting words to you. Like, you have to, you can't just say the word. You got to be a doer of the word. You got to apply the word, because I had to apply his word into my life. And then there is no bitterness here. Why? Because I'm not going to tell you at one point in time in my life that I was not bitter. Yes, I was, especially with family, and, like the people that hurt me, like even today, like honestly, like today, somebody who I helped, literally, someone who called me and said that, hey, I'm hungry. My babies are hungry. Please help me, and she just had a kid, and she needs help, and I'm taking money and I'm sending it, like for her kids. And then now someone sent me a screenshot of that same person talking about me, because of a picture I just recently posted today, saying my arms look skinny. I must have not been eating. I'm like, I was ever a skinny person. I was always tiny. What are you talking about? And I have to say, God, like, people said I had AIDS. Now they say I'm not eating. I don't even understand it. So I have to realize, when you do good, people talk about you. You do bad, they're going to talk about you. So you just got to live anyway. Live your life. Do not, what I can tell you now, do not do what I did. I conformed to man's image. I felt like I had a point to prove. Now I don't have to answer anyone. I know who I am now. I found my identity. I know who I am in Christ. So, with that being said, know who you are, but most importantly, know whose you are. Do not allow the enemy, which is the devil, to deceive you on thinking you're going to have the promises of God if you're continually dibble dabbling into sin. Like I said, I had to first turn away. I had to repent, total surrender in order to see the hand of God in my life. So you may see me blessed. A lot of people may, like even my neighbors, they're like, oh my God, you live in a mansion. Are you this and you that? And I have to say to them, look, I had a hard life. And what I walked through, you could not walk through it. We all walk through certain things in our life. What you probably went through, Miranda, would have killed me. Like each of us have a testimony, and do not feel like, okay, because she sounded like she went through so much. Like I feel like my life, it might not, I might not get blessed. God is going to bless you because He's just that good of a Father. What I had to go through was not for me. It's for you. It was for the people that I was carrying in my loins so that you can find hope. I'm pretty sure some of you might not have went through what I went through, but you probably went through worse than I went through. And if I could survive this thing that was supposed to send me crazy, I'm sure you can survive too. It does not matter what it is. And you too now can pass the baton to someone else that is going through. So if you feel like you have a story and you just want to share it to help encourage someone, reach out to Miranda. I'm telling you, this is a good ground, a good platform. She will help navigate you through. Like, you don't have to feel scared. You don't have to be worried about it. I'm telling you, do not sit on your testimony because there's no one who can tell your story better than you. I sat on my testimony because of fear and the fear of what people are going to say about me and digging up an old me that no longer exists. And I just felt terrible about it. And even bringing up, who I am. And I have a husband now. You can imagine, like, him hearing the crazy stuff I used to do. Like, you can imagine what if he changed his mind about who he was marrying? But I'm happy that he see who I am and he knows who I am. And I proved who I am to him. And we have a solid marriage and a solid relationship. So that means nothing that the enemy tries can get involved, like get in between it. So please be encouraged. I'm telling you, like, it gets better. Yeah, it might get hard. Like I said, during the pandemic, I was satisfied. I was pregnant during the pandemic with my second child. I ate steak literally because I had an iron deficiency. The Lord literally provided steak for us to eat, literally. And I was trying to figure out like how I even got this steak this cheap, literally, because there was a shortage on meat, even down to toilet paper. My house was full of toilet paper. I never even ran out, and I didn't even know how. The stuff just was there. It's like they magically appeared. I'm telling you. So the Lord is a provider. He will take care of you, but you must first, surrender to Him, turn to Him. Because the blessing sounds good, but there was some chastening I had to go through because the Lord said He chastised those that He loves. So you may be going through something right now, but they're all birthing pains. There's something in you that has to change, and He's trying to take it away from you. So allow Him to have His perfect work in you and allow Him to do what He has predestined for you to do. Because before you came into this world, He knew who you were. There were so many countless sperms trying to get to an egg, but it was you that made it out on top. Out of all the thousands of sperm, you came out. So you have purpose. So because you came into that egg, you have purpose. And so do not allow the enemy to make you feel that you're on this place just taking up space. No, you have purpose. So find your purpose. In order to find your purpose, you must find Christ. So that's what I have to say tonight.
Okay, this has been another edition of Swerve with me. This is a place where we have adult conversations for mature audiences and we talk to people like Elizabeth who are not afraid to show their scars and to speak their truth because they know that their story is worth sharing so that somebody else may come through whatever it is that they are faced with. So I thank you once again for being with me. Thank you, audience. Continue to tag somebody because they need to hear this story. This story is going to bring hope to so many people this week. This story is going to inspire so many people this week. And each week, as I do these shows, my inbox is flooded during the week from people who catch the show at different times and they talk about how the various guests have been an inspiration to them. And you certainly are not the exception. Um, Wow, Deborah says, I've shared many tests watching this.
Oh,
God
wow.
bless you.
God
That's,
bless
listen,
you.
for this cause you were brought into the world to share your story so that somebody would definitely be encouraged, be blessed, and to learn how to pay it forward. That no matter how bad you think your situation is, somebody else has been worse, but they've been able to navigate by the grace of God through whatever that situation is be. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you again next week, same time, same place, 8 o'clock, for another amazing story of someone who is not afraid to show their scars and speak their truth. Good night, everybody.